All right, so we've had some good questions on stress. So we'll just break some of these down. So one question that's come up is some people will take stress inside and bottle it up. Other people will take any stress they have and then they'll put it out into the world. They'll talk about it to anybody and anything. We call that venting. Venting. Most people use their friends, their family, to just vent. And what we call that is stress externalization. And the analogy that comes to my brain is if you have a hot plate, you have a pressure cooker. So pressure cooker has like that, it has that really, really hot or really tough dome, but there's a little valve in it to let the energy out. And then you have the hot plate. You can turn the heat up or down. And you have like that fire. And in there you have water. And so the purpose of a valve, a safety valve, it's called a safety valve. It's to prevent the pressure from getting too high. And so when the temperature is high, then the pressure increases inside there. The water turns to vapor, and vapor pushes really hard on all the walls of so it pushes. And as the pressure goes higher and higher and higher, and there's usually like a little gauge, right? So this is like red zone, green, and yellow. So as it gets more towards the red, meaning the pressure's too high, the valve releases the pressure. And then the pressure's good. And that's good. That's how it's supposed to work. You cook something for a certain amount of time. Pressure, if it gets too much, it releases so the whole thing doesn't blow. That's a healthy system. Unhealthy system, the pressure gets high, the person doesn't recognize it very well, and it's just high all the time. So the valve is going all the time. Just all the time, releasing, releasing, releasing. The valve is the only way the person has to control the pressure. That water, the only way we're lowering the pressure is by valving the extra pressure. At some point, that valve will break. It'll wear out. It's not meant to control pressure. It's meant to relieve emergency pressure for that short period of time. The way to control pressure permanently is to turn down the heat. But that's a whole different skill. The technology of a valve is very different than the technology of a heat control. So what a lot of people do is they control the stress of their life just with valves. If they store it internally, then they'll valve it with internal things like drinking or drugging masturbating, gambling, shopping, eating. These are all internal ways to numb out the high pressure. Driving, high speeds. You know, a good thing for you to try sometime is if you're a high-speed driver, try driving low speed.
Yeah.
And watch what happens.
Yeah, I'm driving like from
And
day
so,
first.
the
Like
thing
from
is,
7, 8, yeah, like from first day of Canada when I came.
and
from
so
there,
the
like,
thing is that when we try to change this habit, whatever our habit is, if you have a habit and you're not sure if it's a coping habit or if it's a healthy habit, just try stopping it and see if the pressure builds. I guarantee you, if it's an unhealthy habit, that pressure will build, you'll feel like horrible, and then you'll go do that thing, but at least you'll know. That's the best way. I said in a previous lecture, individualize your process to you. Everyone has a different way. Everyone's valve looks different. But everyone has a valve, and it's either internal, like one of those behaviors, or it's external, outside. So some people, they just talk. They stress it, they pass their stress around. And that destroys relationships. That destroys relationships. Or it consumes energy that relationship could be using to build it up even better. And a lot of relationships are founded on mutual exchange of stress without resolution. And so we say self-therapy. Why? Connect to self in a healthy way. Find some way. Breathing, meditation, something. Journaling. Connect to others in a healthy way, in a therapeutic way. And commit to a daily practice. And over time, you will develop a healthy valve, because what you'll realize when you start doing that, when you start hanging out with people who control their pressure the right way, which is to turn down the heat, that's the right way to do it. When you start hanging out with people like that, you'll automatically start developing a more sophisticated, more complicated way of managing your stress. Because you know what? That's what you need. Life is complicated. We have to develop our internal processes of preventing unnecessary stress, of recognizing it when it comes, and of being able to bring it down when it gets too much. If we don't do that, we will use our valve, and that valve is why you're here, is why life is not working so well, is you've used the valve too much, internal or external. And you've rotted it, and it doesn't do what it used to do. It takes 20, 30, 40 years to rot that valve to that point where it destroys your life, but it will, sooner or later. And so, this is what I call the pressure cooker analogy for stress. And it is a very helpful way to understand how stress is internalized or externalized. And I will stop this video here, and then we can continue.